Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a somber and frustrated edition of the JP Peterson Show. That was not fun last night, watching the Florida Panthers celebrate on our home ice. A 5-game win, best of 7 series, 4 games to 1. Lots to talk about, my friend. Lots to talk about on what's going on with your Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm just going to say this. I don't think it's as dire as many fans are making it out to be. It's not. And I'm not trying to be a homer, but we'll get into it. Brian Engblom will join us at 10:30. My post-game partner, longtime voice of NBC Sports, and, of course, your Tampa Bay Lightning, one of the best analysts in the business, if not the best in my mind, will join us, and we'll break down the series and where the Lightning go from here. We've also got some fun stuff to bring to you. Jason Licht going ham on the Pat McAfee Show yesterday. It was really kind of cool.
That was awesome.
We had him on the show in the off season or just after the season. And, we asked him a very similar question to Pat about character. And, unfortunately he didn't drop the A-holes and D-bags reference, but said something very similar. But that was epic. And he's fast becoming like a fan favorite, a national favorite, like one of those GMs that kind of resounds through the years, like the guys that you remember. You don't remember many GMs in football, right? It's head coaches and players. But sometimes, a GM comes along that you're just like, you know what, that guy knows what he's doing. He's pretty funny. He's a pretty regular guy. So the nation is starting to find out what we already know, that we got the best general manager in the game. And he's not only a great GM, he's a really great guy. He's just a fun dude to hang out with, He's just the best. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The Rays almost get no hit last night by a guy making his major league debut.
Yikes. That's all right. The Rangers allowed a touchdown in the top of the ninth to lose their game to the Royals.
Oh my God. That was crazy. Yeah. We got people falling out of the stands. We got a very interesting rumor regarding John Cooper. There's a lot going on that we got to get to. We might even talk a little basketball as the Lakers lost. They got Luka. I thought they were going to win 10 championships in a row. Luka and LeBron were unbeatable.
So incredibly overrated.
I watched the end of that game last night. I'm like, the Lakers are bad. They're not good.
And LeBron might quit now.
Yeah, I thought it was like, I felt like, what? I may be watching the last game LeBron ever plays.
Yep. I
think that's very, very likely. We shall see. All right, so let's get into it. Man, last night was I was jacked up. I was really jacked up for what was supposed to be a very I thought the Lightning. Listen, I didn't. If I was a betting man, I said this on the show. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't be betting on the Lightning. This Panthers team is really good. And I want to start off with that. Besides jackass Matthew Tkachuk after the game going, oh, it's not really a rivalry. God, I hate that guy. I saw Titus O'Neil last night before the game, before he did the hype, and we were chatting. I was like, hey, man, you think you could, how to skate? Can you skate just for a couple minutes? We may not even just got to start the game and go over to Tkachuk. And if he's not on the ice, just go to the bench and pull him off and then just beat the tar out of him. Can we do that? And he's like, yeah, I can do that.
I said, he'd probably enjoy it too, right?
Yeah, let's put it in the script. Let's go. Oh, yeah, he would. Absolutely. So, yeah, the Panthers are a classless group of fans for sure. No question about that. But Tkachuk saying that makes him a classless jerk as well. Here's John Cooper giving the Panthers all their flowers in the post game like we do, and the Lightning players. Classy, in defeat, despite all the cheap shots and the cheating that went on in the series. The Lightning captain, the Lightning coach, and all the Lightning players giving the Panthers their due, like a class organization does. And Tkachuk says something like that. What a jackass. Just a jackass. But whatever. It's the right thing to do because they're a good hockey team. And dare I say, they may be better this year than they were last year. Adding Brad Marchand on your third line, and that third line had 8 points last night. Luosterainen, Lundell, and typically we see that right in the playoffs. It's the depth that gets you. When the Lightning had Coleman, Goudreau, and Gord, they were the difference in winning a couple cups. And frankly, that's what's missing from this team. The Lightning have very little depth. Losing Bjorkstrand and basically Hagel for the entire series didn't help either. They needed everybody if they were going to match up with the Panthers. And as frustrated as I sit here, and I think the Panthers were the better team. I'm not going to say different. We have to keep in mind that this is the defending champs. They won it last year, and I think they're very likely going to win it this year. So when you say, 3 straight first-round outs, you're like, that implies that you're, maybe even the 16th best team in the league. That's not true. That's not true. The Lightning were top 5 in almost every major category. The best scoring team, top 5 in defense, top 5 in penalty kill, in power play, top 7 in penalty kill. They had a regular season for the ages. And I know that don't mean squat. I get it. President's Cup, all that stuff. Yeah, and not that they won it, but I get it. The regular season is meaningless when it comes to the playoffs. And this does feel very much like 2018 when the Washington Capitals just beat us up on their way to a cup. They just took the finesse team, leaned on them, and by game 7, the Lightning were toast. They had nothing left. And what we did is we went out and got some more sandpaper, got some more grit, and became a better team and won a couple cups, went to another final. It's hard to do, to keep repeating when the salary cap is flat and you got to keep changing players. JBB has done a fantastic job. His additions in this offseason, the tough choice to let Stamkos go, bring Gensel in, get J.J. Moser, and get Connor Geekie, who I thought was one of the better players on the ice last night. He came out, he started the game and came out with 2 big hits and set the tone, got the crowd going. And made an incredible play on one of the goals, Nick Paul's goal, keeping that play alive in the zone, got the assist. Connor Geekie, 6'4", 220, doesn't even have his man strength yet. He's got an edge to his game. I think he's going to be a star in this league. I think he can be a 30, 40 goal scorer in this league. So he's got huge upside. But there's a lot of positives on this team. You got a 2-time, defending Art Ross trophy winner in Kucherov. But he hasn't done squat in the playoffs in the last 3 years. He's a no-show. You can't have that. Your stars have got to be your stars. And you need to get some help from the other guys. This is why it's the toughest trophy to win. This is why it's the absolute toughest trophy to win, because you have to have a team that can beat the other team in every single way. And that's what the Lightning used to be able to do. You want to be physical? We'll beat you physically. You want to get into track meet? We can do that too. You want to play a skilled counter-punching game? We'll defend as well. We can do that too. We can be a better counter-punching team than you. And that's why they won 2 cups and went to that final. But when you keep changing pieces, you have to change pieces every year. Sometimes it's tough to find the right combinations for everything. I mean, the regular season does matter. It does matter. And it shows what a good team the Lightning were, but they weren't built for the playoffs. And they weren't built to match up with the Panthers. I took the bait. Remember, we talked about, the Panthers are struggling. They're beat up. Maybe you might want to get them in the first round. Wrong. Wrong.
They were playing possum.
Paul Maurice is just, we'll get in the, Ekblad will be fine. He'll be back. And they probably wanted the Lightning, to be honest. They probably felt this is a good matchup for us. We can out physical them. We know how to take Cooch out. We did it last year. So you tip the cap, man. They're a really, really good hockey team. And that doesn't mean the Lightning stink. And I've seen a lot of overreaction from Lightning fans this morning. And I get it, mainly because you've now lost 9 of 10 at home in the playoffs in the last 3 years. That's a lot of money spent walking out, watching Panthers fans celebrate. It really is. And I talked to some season ticket holders last night that were not happy. And I don't blame them. Doesn't mean the organization's doing anything wrong. It just means the situation sucks. The Panthers are really good. We had our time beating them, and now they figured it out, and they're beating us. Now we got to turn it around. We got to find out a way. And it's pretty obvious what needs to be done to me. I think this team needs a couple more power forwards. Engblom shared a stat with me last night that blew me away. And I'll just ask you, on average, what do you think the size differential is for these two teams? On average.
Across the board, for every position?
Just across the board, if you average height and weight on every player, what do you think it would, like, who would have the advantage?
Well, right now I would say Florida has the advantage.
Both teams exactly 6'1", 198.
Really? Wow.
Remember that stat we read before this season about how
Everything
equal
being
these two teams, over 150, 80 games, and 8 ties. I mean, these two teams are freaking mirror images of each other over time. And even in this series, you're like, but it's almost like, okay, 6'4", 220, Connor Geeky, he really takes that up for the Lightning. But was he really a physical presence in this series? No. Mm-hmm. He was kind of last night, but he's still too young, right? Victor Hedman's 6'6", 225 pounds. Is he a physical force? No, he's not. He's one of the greatest defensemen to play the game, no question about it. But he's not a physical force. He plays the game a different way. The Lightning play the game a different way than the Panthers do, and the Panthers play a game that is tailor-made for the playoffs, where they swallow the whistles and they can get away with a lot of shit afterwards, and they do. And I went on a rant yesterday about how the NHL officials screwed this series up, and they did. And that certainly did not help the Lightning's cause in critical times. In critical times, you can absolutely make the case that the blown calls in Game 4 enabled the Panthers to win the critical game of the series. Instead of 2-2, it's 3-1, and the series is over. That said.
Well, and you lose one of your best players.
Exactly. You lose Hagel for, he was not playing last night. Could we have used him last night? You're damn right.
Could have used Andrechuk last night, too.
Yeah. Somebody get in front of the net, for God's sakes. Somebody get in front of the net.
I was amazed at the lack of presence in front of the net this entire series, but especially last night in your elimination game. You didn't even try. What are we doing? What are we doing? And when somebody did go to the front of the net, they scored. Yeah. Salvage scores the first goal, front of the net. It's mind-boggling. What are we doing? Did Cooper make the requisite adjustments in this series? Couldn't get Cooch going. Couldn't get him going. Not at home, not on the road. Couldn't get him going. That's 2 straight years that they figured him out, and they're in his head. They're in his kitchen. There's no question about it. Now, is that on Cooch? Is it on Cooper? Who's it on? You can't have a guy going scoreless for this many games. What is it now? 13 games in the playoffs for Kucherov without a goal. And I know he's a playmaker, but he made a couple of plays last night that ended up in the Lightning's net. Yeah.
Let's just be honest. 2 of those goals came off Kucherov turnovers. And you just can't be that flippant with the puck. The Bennett goal, as he comes out of the box, which was the huge goal of the game, in my opinion. Kucherov's futzing around with the puck on the power play on the boards, tries some crazy pass, gives up the puck, and really didn't make a whole lot of effort to go get it back, if I'm being honest. And then it's in the back of your net as Sam Bennett comes out and they got a 2-on-1. Way too many 2-on-1s, way too many guys open in front of the net, wide ass open in front of the net. Last night, the Barkov goal, they get who was it from the point, a big shot, forget his name. Barkov is just, he's sitting there in the circle, nobody's near him. And and that's a nice tip in. It's a really good tip in, but there's nobody around him to jostle him, move his stick or anything. He's just standing there. Nobody near him. Forsling shot and he redirects it. How many times do we see guys wide open in front of the net? The defensive coverage was substandard at best. The Lightning made a lot of mistakes, and the Panthers made them pay for it.
The Panthers are what the Lightning were: clinical, always in the right place, physical, and they play a playoff brand of hockey, and they're really freaking good. And the Lightning not having Bjorkstrand certainly hampered them as well. But injuries happen to all teams throughout the playoffs. And the one thing you see that teams that are winning, and when the Lightning were winning, Kucherov was, he was scoring, he was playmaking, he was doing all that. In the last few years, he hasn't done that in the playoffs. And that's tough to swallow. And I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, we got major changes. We should trade Kucherov. I don't think that's the issue. I don't think it's the issue. And again, it's overblown because you're out 3 years in a row. You go back 3 years to the Toronto series, the Lightning lost 3 overtime games. And I think they were all at home, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a series where I thought the Lightning were the better team, but they didn't win. Hats off to Toronto. And then last year, I thought the Lightning played the Panthers maybe tougher than they played them this year, quite frankly. They played them tough. And even though it was a 5-game series, I thought it was a very close series. But the Panthers won it. This year, game 1 was a complete give up by the Lightning. That to me was it just absolute, what was that? What was that?
That was a bad game by everybody. Vazzy had a bad game. Everybody had a bad game. And you can't do that.
And what's the one thing that is missing from last year? The one major thing.
Stamkos.
Steven Stamkos. Now, I'm not here to say that we shouldn't have got rid of him. I'm not here to say that, bringing in Gensel and basically trading Gensel out for Stamkos wasn't brilliant. It was, and it was a tough decision to make, and it had to be made. That said, we miss his leadership. I think we miss his leadership more than people know. And I think part of that is I think Kucherov respected Stamkos as a father figure, an older brother type. And I think Stamkos maybe reached Kucherov and could get him going in times when, stuff like this was going on. Although, again, the Panthers took him out last year and Stamkos was on the team. But I think just in general, I don't know if that game 1 happens. And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody in particular because sometimes it's difficult to transition leadership. Victor Hedman is the captain. He's not Steven Stamkos. He's not that guy. He's not that guy. Steven Stamkos, it's almost like the commercial. Steven Stamkos has his kid on the ice when he's 6 months old. Victor Hedman's like, nah, we're not quite ready for that. Right. But that's kind of what their personalities. Stamkos, very intense, hardcore. Victor Hedman is, I'm not saying he lacks intensity on the ice. Again, he's one of the greatest defensemen in Lightning history, clearly, and one of the best to ever play the game. He's just not an intimidating, loud voice. It's just not who he is, nor should he try to be. And then it's inauthentic. McDonough, I think, obviously is a voice in the room, but maybe it's time that this room becomes Braden Points. This room becomes Hagel's. It becomes Cirelli. These guys who, went to 4 Nations and won a world championship can step up and be those guys and lead this team. And by the way, I think Cirelli was about 50%. He didn't morning skate at all. I think he's got a knee injury. We'll find out from Brisebois. I think he may have an MCL or something. He just did not have that explosiveness in his skating. And I don't think he could be as physical as he wanted to be.
And he still skated 26 shifts and played almost 20 minutes.
He gutted it out. Yeah. He gutted it out big time, which is what guys do, right? But it affects your play. It affects your play. No question about it. So, there's a lot of different, issues that we're dealing with. And I think there's an incredible overreaction from the fan base judging from Twitter. And I get it. They're frustrated. They're mad, especially if they're spending all that money for tickets and you just haven't seen a win in a long time in a home playoff game. It's been a long freaking time. So I get it, but I would caution the overreaction. I think this team needs some tweaks. It doesn't need an overhaul. It's
definitely doesn't need a new freaking head coach. All of you idiots on X calling for the head of John Cooper. Come on. What are you doing? Have you ever watched hockey in your life? Come on. That's ridiculous.
But there's chatter out there. There's chatter that he could be going to Utah, but I think it's all part
And
of
I
it.
heard Boston, and I saw Philly, and I saw Vancouver because he's from up there, right? All the people in Vancouver want him to come home. And I'm like,
well, this is what happens when you lose 3 years in a row. But I think we really, in the first round, I really think we got to keep that in context. We got to keep that in context. They're not just a team that's barely making the playoffs every year and getting pushed out in the first. That's not how it looks. All right. Our good friend, my post-game partner, Brian Engblom, has joined us this morning after what I believe was a nice cigar smoke on the back porch last night when he got home. What's up, Brian? How are you?
I'm good, boy. I'm stepping right into the middle of this. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
We're not talking about Cooper with Engblom. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about hockey with him. I'm not throwing that at him. We'll deal with that later. With the idiots on this show, we'll deal with that later. Not when we have one of the best analysts in the game on. We're going to talk a little hockey on the ice here. And thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
I just, I love just opening the floor for you because and let you go because there's a lot to this series right now. And let's start with series, then we'll look at the future for the Lightning. But this series obviously tells us a lot about where the Lightning need to go because they got to get through a Panthers team that, I don't know, Brian, they may be better than they were last year. Brad Marchand on a third line. I mean, and that third line was awesome last night. There's a really good team that the Lightning ran into.
I agree with you. I think they are better than they were last year. And you hit the nail. You hit the nail right on the head. That third line, I think, it sort of exemplifies it. Plus, they pick up Seth Jones.
Yeah.
At the trade deadline, that guy's a stud. I mean, he's a really good defenseman. So if they can ever keep Ekblad and Jones in the same freaking game, it might be something.
Right.
But that hasn't happened exactly too much so far. But that means Balinskis drops out, and the kid played pretty darn well for them. So they're deep on defense. They're getting goal scoring from their defense. They are very deep. Even their fourth line is a menace to play against. Bob looks like he went to another level and learned something last year. Look, I mean, he'd won Vezina trophies in the past, right? And he's not young. What is he, 36?
36,
I think, 36.
Yeah.
So, he'd won Vezina trophies and stuff before, but he'd never been on a team that was good enough. Was it his fault sometimes? Well, you always start looking at the goalie first, right? But really, he'd never been, on really stud teams too often. But when he went all the way and won, now he's that guy. I mean, you saw it with Vasi, right? As soon as Vasilevsky had won, he'd been to the finals, and then he won. And you can see the difference. You can see the calm. You can see the confidence, all those things. So they've got a big, nasty team that's talented. And, man, can they ever play man-on-man hockey? Like the trust factor of everybody, they all trusted each other. Like, I don't have to go over, I'll support, but I'll go over and just watch because my teammate's going to take care of Braden Point or is going to take care of Kucherov. I'll be right there to help. And then my man's over here. Your man's over there. Your man's over there. I mean, away from the puck, I just kept looking and going, these guys are monsters. I mean, the Lightning couldn't get the game that they want to play, multiple passing, speed game, through the neutral zone, dipping and diving, east-west, north-south, end up at the net, highest scoring team in the league, all that. They had so few chances, so few. So that's frustrating for sure. So I think what happened was, JP, you and I talk about this all the time the last couple of years. You have to be able to play more than one way if you're going to go to the Stanley Cup, because this was the ultimate example. Florida doesn't let you play your game because that's the Lightning game that I just described. So you got to go north-south, you got to bang, you got to pop, you got to come off the wall, you got to shoot and retrieve.
Get in front of the net.
You got to out-muscle, you got to play net front, all those things. They've done that in the past, and that's why they have won, because they could play any way you wanted. They didn't show that they could do it consistently. And everybody has their kryptonite, and Florida was their kryptonite. Maybe if they'd have played a different team in the first round, maybe, there are some years where you watch teams win the Stanley Cup and they go, They played that team. Yeah, they know how to handle that. They know how to handle that team.
Yep.
It's a good thing they didn't play that team because they probably would have lost. That's the luck of the draw. But you have to be able to play both ways and be able to beat every style of team. And this turned out to be their kryptonite.
Brian, in this day and age, it's really hard for me to imagine that an NHL team can bully and intimidate another NHL team. But that's what I saw on the ice here in round one, that the Panthers just looked like they intimidated. Like you said, they knocked them off their game, and that's what playoff hockey is all about. But were the Lightning intimidated a little bit? Were they bullied?
I think only the individual players can answer that. I think there were times in the game where Florida definitely tested all that. I mean, there was the first 2 games for sure, 3. I would go as far as 3. The first 2 games, though, here, I was between the benches. I mean, man, it was on. It was on every single shift. And they targeted top players. There is no doubt. I mean, I watched Bennett and Tkachuk, who are always in the middle of it, and they're pointing and going, we're coming for you. Yeah, and I can't say all the other words, what they're saying. Verbal intimidation, absolutely. Yep. Did they target the top players? Did they know exactly who they were talking to? Did they know exactly who they were hitting out there? I said to JP, game 1, the early penalty that Tkachuk took on Kucherov along the wall for boarding. That set the tone right there. And then he was yapping at him after that. And look, Cooch and Gensel and those guys, they were standing right there and back in their face, and they were giving it to him back. Cooch is, when they're saying, it's you, we're coming for you. He's going, screw you.
Yeah.
Worse words than that, get out of here. And he right back in their face. But Florida has that kind of team. They are abusive, they're rough, and they're talented. That's what makes you really mad. So did the Lightning have as many guys pushing back as maybe a couple of years ago? Remember when the Lightning played the New York Islanders a couple of years ago, and in the warm-up there were 3 or 4 guys from each team standing at the red line, and it was like just step 1 toe over that red line, and this is going to be an old-fashioned Donnybrook, a full bench clearing brawl before the game even starts. So that was literally an in-your-face team. They don't have that type of team this year. And on the flip side of that, I will say that I'll take the New York Islanders and Lou Lamoriello, who's now been let go. But he had the old-fashioned, he would construct his teams, and over the last couple of years, grinding team. This is the kind of team you need in the playoffs. This is the way you have to play. But they didn't have the horses to play the way the game is played during the regular season. They couldn't go. They couldn't play the fast game. They couldn't score enough goals. You have to be able to get there
to the tournament
to play. So the reason I'm using them is that's exactly the flip side of what I'm talking about here.
Right.
You have to be able to do both things in today's National Hockey League, and that ain't easy. Getting the chemicals right without blowing up the lab. That's the key for G.
Oh, we lost Brian.
Uh-oh.
Felt like his phone went.
There he is.
There he is. Sorry, we lost you for a second.
Sorry, somebody was ringing through. I had to click it off.
Hey, wouldn't
that.
So as we look going forward, Brian, we're not firing any players. Yep. Can you hear us? I guess you can't hear us.
Got us.
Lost the audio somehow.
All right. Can you hear us now? Can you hear me now?
Let's see.
Let me text him to go out and come back in.
Yeah, do that. Oh, he's muted now.
Is the mic
How about
on
now?
You got it?
Yes,
Okay.
We got you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, somebody clicked in. I clicked it off, and all of a sudden the mic went. Sorry.
We're good.
Stop calling Brian. So as we look forward, does this team need some more grit? There's not a lot. Most of the core is signed for a long time, and I think that's a good thing. People have talked about, do you trade Kucherov? You could get a haul for him. I don't think that's the answer, trading the leading scorer in the league. We've seen this before. I go back to 2018. I think that the Caps kind of bullied the Lightning, and JBB made some changes to get Coleman and Gaudreau and those guys in here. We had in Gord. It was a great third line. So to me, this is more tweaking at the bottom 6 than it is messing with the top 6. What do you think?
Yeah, trading Kucherov, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
he might win MVP. He just
Right.
won his third scoring title, second in a row. The guy's a magician. I mean, he's revered by all the best players in the league. Guys like Connor McDavid look at Kucherov and go, "Wow."
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you don't trade guys like that. That's crazy. He was trying his ass off. I mean, they were in his face. They knew exactly every time he was out there. And the message was heard loud and clear by all the players on Florida. Get in his face. Don't give him a foot and a half out there. And they didn't. And as good as he is, it's pretty tough to fight through that every single shift
Yeah.
for 5 games. So, yeah, no, that's crazy. You brought up the Gord line from a couple of years ago. Goodrow was outstanding. That third line is kind of like talking about the third line of Florida
Yeah,
that we just
exactly.
talked about.
Yeah.
That gives you depth, and it was a huge. They scored some gigantic goals,
Huge.
right?
Huge.
Series-winning goals, making series-winning plays, and all the while grinding. So yeah, it's a very fine line. I think getting some size, and so some response in that respect when it comes to the heavy hitting and the heavy play that we saw in this series. Again, going back to, you don't know who you're going to play, so
Right.
you have to be able to have that. And that's why I said, a few seconds ago, you try to get it right without, get the chemicals right without blowing up the lab. That is the secret. And
Yeah.
it is really tough. Ask every GM in the National Hockey League, because the numbers have to fit. And especially because they won the Stanley Cups back to back and went to the finals, every player whose contract is up goes, yeah, I deserve it. And you know what? Management goes, yeah, you
You-
deserve a raise. So
Yeah.
some of them they've had to let go. I mean, look at the Sergachev situation. He got himself to what, $8 million, and in the scheme of things, they couldn't keep him because they have so many guys that are making big dollars. So that's the way it is. It's really difficult balance, and because there was a flat cap there for a year or so, coming out of COVID and everything, it really hurt. Like it was like. There's never a bad time to win, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
it really handcuffed Julian Breezebois and the management, because they didn't get the usual bump and the increase in the salary cap. Now there is that increase now, and that helps. So there's a little bit of breathing room. So that will give them time to, move some guys and maybe get the type of sort of higher, middle to higher end player that we're talking about, maybe moving into the team.
Yeah. Brian Engblom joining us here, my post-game partner. Defensively, we've talked about the defensive pairing. You're a Stanley Cup winning defenseman. Is there something that needs to be done? I mean, I know Lilleberg and Perbix are younger. I don't think they had the best series. Is there some change that needs to be made with maybe some more stay-at-home, rougher, tumbler type defenseman?
Yeah, that's going to be the tough call there. Lilleberg, it was kind of his first real time around of being in there, shift after shift.
Yeah.
He's a tough kid.
He had some moments. He had some good moments, but some bad ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he can hit, right? And he'll drop the mitts, all that stuff. But as far as, reading the plays, everything's faster, everything's more intense. Your mistakes, just scream out there. Sometimes you make mistakes in November or in January and you go, oh, got away with that one. Well, you don't get away with much in the playoffs because you're playing with teams that deserve to be there as well. So he got a taste of that. I think that, moving forward, we'll just see how it goes for him. Perbix, same thing. This wasn't the best year for Perbix. He was in and out of the lineup. He was healthy scratched, fairly often. I think his confidence level took a big hit this year, and he didn't have a great playoff series. I didn't think, no. So I think they'll be looking at that. What are we going to do back there? I think JJ Moser, when he came into the team this year, I went, wow. I'd never seen him play that much because he was in the West all the time in Arizona. And they weren't a playoff team. We didn't see him much, but I came in the first 2 months or so until he got hurt. I thought, wow, he can really play, and he fit in. And he's a lefty. He was playing the right side most of the time, but he can play the left, all that. And then he got hurt, and I just didn't feel like he got back to the same level after that. I don't know if it's lingering things that sometimes you get certain types of injuries. I mean, we'll probably hear in the next couple of days, every year, there are some guys will say, well, he's got to have a little surgery for this, got to get, this fixed up, got to get that cleaned up. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but I wouldn't be surprised we hear that, well, Moser had to have a procedure for this. And then there's rehab, right?
Yeah.
So something lingering that was there, I'm not sure, but it looked like it to me. So they'll reassess that and, see where it goes, in the off season, see who's available. And again, compare it to how much money do we have?
So in your mind, kind of in conclusion here, it is a tweak that needs to be done. It's not an overhaul. And it's the Lightning are closer than people think, despite going out the first 3 rounds. That's the context that people will throw out. Well, it's 3 first-round losses in a row. We got to make major changes. There has to be context to that. Look who you're losing to and look how you're losing, right?
That's a great point. That's exactly what you should be looking at. So the Atlantic Division has gone to the finals 5 straight years. The winner of this series has won the cup 3 times. just the winner of that series.
Yeah.
So, to take a breath here. You've got top line Gensel, outstanding. Braden Point, one of the best centers in the league. Kucherov, we already talked about. Anthony Cirelli, outstanding second line center. You can't find, a better one when it comes to changing games and energy and all that. Brandon Hagel, same kind of thing, another career year. So you've got 5 forwards right there that are the keys, and I can go on. The rest is how do you want the mix to look? But and Victor Hedman, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. McDonough came back and was the glue. Chernak, the big 3 back there are studs. So you've got the core of a really terrific team. And the rest is every year you mix and match a little bit.
Mix and match. You got to find those.
We'll have some young
nuggets.
guys coming up. We've already seen a couple. Gonsalves played his tail off and, produced some pretty good stuff. Geeky's coming on. We'll see, what happens going into training camp next year.
All right, Brian, thanks for getting up this morning, and thanks for carrying me on the post-game show all year long.
Oh, no, you carried me, buddy.
Thanks for making JP look good all these years.
You're amazing. I've learned so much hockey from you. It's incredible. So I can't wait to get out there and teach you something on the golf course.
Yeah,
so
all right, absolutely. We'll definitely have to. Won't take you much to teach me something, I can tell you that. I always tell our boys in the truck there when things are going sideways, and sometimes things are breaking down, I always get on talk back and say, we're all in this alone, buddy. We're all in this alone.
Nice.
Team effort. All right, Brian, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you.
Anytime.
See you
Thanks,
soon.
guys.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
Awesome.
Be well.
Great. Brian Engblom there. Yeah, I know the frustration is tough right now. I know you guys are pissed.
But it's like that every year when you don't win the cup, right? Like,
but it's worse. It's worse this year. It's worse this year because I feel like we took a step back. I mean, I thought last year we played a little better, but it's like, man, it's so close. And at game 4, like, I'm not saying that the Lightning are a better team, but I think these two teams are really even. I think you looked at it before this team. They're really, really even.
Yeah.
And the Lightning didn't get to play their brand. And I think, not having Bjorkstrand and not having Hagel, both of those guys are so important to the way that the Lightning play. And they weren't able to get to their game.
Right.
And so, yes, you got to be able to be physical, and they got to go to the net more. They got to get more greasy goals. No question about it. They need some more grit. They need some more sandpaper, but it's not that far away. And I thought another thing, look who they brought in, Seth Jones and Brad Marchand, and look at the impact that those two guys had on that series. Seth Jones is a monster, and he's really, really good. And he's shooting from the point. He's really, and Marchand I thought he was really good last night. I thought he was great all series long, and I hate to say that, but he's just, and that's your third line. I mean, that's where it is right now for me. So you got to go out and you got to make some changes. Now you got a little bit of cap room. They've got Isaac Howard, who I think they're going to trade. Now, what does that bring back? What does that bring back? Maybe a nice piece. I don't know, but JBB's done some really good work. So it's just calm your titties. It's going to be okay, Lightning fans. We're still part of the elite group of this league. We ain't, the Islanders. We're not
Who else can I throw in that group? There's some teams that even made the playoffs this year that are just Montreal's young and upcoming, but they're not there yet.
No, they got exposed in this playoffs.
Washington, Washington. Let's see how far Washington goes. I think they're an interesting group. But I think the Panthers
got to get past Carolina.
Them. Yeah. I think Carolina's good. So, but to me, it's a tweak. They need a couple of power forwards, maybe a big stay-at-home defenseman. I think Geeky getting better, Gonsalves getting better, and their second year's getting more confidence is a big thing. Kucherov and one of those power forwards probably needs some gravitas. Somebody who's been in the league a while that is a loud voice. Somebody said kind of the Panthers traded out Huberdeau for Kachuk. It changed the attitude of that team in a big way. And so, is that the type of player that we need? A Kachuk type of player? I think so. Hate to say it, but yeah. We need somebody with some edge, some sandpaper, some grit, and talented, can score. They're hard to find. I don't know, free agency wise, who's going to be out there, but
Look, and for you Lightning fans that think that all is lost right now and you're ready to move on from John Cooper, are you ready to go back to the late 2000s and your 24-win seasons when Barry Melrose was here, when Rick Tocchet was here, and John Tortorella's first season when he won 31 games? Is that what you want? Because that's what you're going to get. You get rid of Cooper. Just stop the insanity. He's not going. He ain't effing leaving, JP.
I'm not going to say that. I
don't think it's happening.
I don't know anything. I know nothing inside. There's a lot of chatter. Now, I don't think he should go anywhere. And if he does, to your point, the Lightning are in trouble.
That's a step back. I don't care who you bring in his first season.
And it, I'm not saying, it's not going to be the Lightning firing John Cooper. That's not. No. So you fans out there, JBB should fire. That is not happening. Nor should it. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. But does John Cooper want to step back? He's the longest tenured coach. He's been here 13 seasons. What's in his head? I don't know. But I'm going to play something for you. We're going to take a break. We'll come back on the other side. And two of the most learned voices in hockey have an opinion on John Cooper. And you'll hear from them. So we got that for you. Got some great Jason Licht stuff. We didn't play the Gruden from yesterday, did we?
No, we never got to it.
Might have to get to some of the Gruden stuff as well.
Load it back up.
Yeah, Johnny with Jason Licht. We got good stuff from him. We got to talk about the Rays. LeBron might be done. Wow. Fans falling out of the stands. And the latest on Stu buying out a section of seats, allegedly.
We have an update on that, huh?
We do. Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES Group.com. We are in the Jeeves Law Group studio. We love it here. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. If you have any legal issues, give them a call. They'll give you a free case evaluation. How cool is that? JeevesLawGroup.com. Please tell them JP sent you, not attorney spokesperson. Offices, Tampa, St. Pete. Back in 3. Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball. And the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park. So free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this somber and frustrating Thursday as the Lightning season comes to an end. The Rays are almost no hits. The best thing that happened yesterday in local sports was Jason Licht going on the Pat McAfee Show, which we will show you here in just a minute. We are brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Always a great time to give them a call at 813-877-7799. Have them do all the work. You save all the money, and make sure that you have a proper insurance on your home, on your car. Just getting insurance isn't enough. You got to have the proper amount of insurance, or it does no good. A lot of places will try to sell you something that's not good enough because it's a lower price, right? And you'll get it. But when you come to actually need the insurance, you don't have enough. Italiano Insurance won't do that for you. They will educate you and say, yeah, it would be great. You could pay less, but your home won't be covered. So make sure you got it done right. 813-877-7799. Tell them JP sent you. All right. So we're going to get to the comments here because we got a lot of great Bolts comments here. So let's do that. And then we'll get to the John Cooper stuff a little bit more. Bucs Basement, good morning to you. Said, JP, do you think we're nearing a time where we might see a change head coach manager for all Tampa sports teams? Because I think that time is quickly approaching. Very interesting, Bucs Basement. Of course, John Cooper will not be fired. Neither will Kevin Cash. If the season goes south, I think Todd Bowles could go.
Like if they start the season 1-5. Something like that, right? Then I think there's something could happen.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So Cooper, I think Cooper, if he wants to make a change for himself, and we'll talk about that in a second, then maybe. And Kevin Cash is an interesting situation to me right now because I don't know if he's happy. If I were Kevin Cash, 2-time AL Manager of the Year, I would want my own major league stadium. I would want an owner that wants to spend money.
Yeah.
He doesn't have either. And I know he grew up in Tampa, Florida State guy. This is, a dream situation for him. And I think family means a lot to him and all that. I think, yeah, absolutely. But I think it's especially after some of the BS he had to deal with the last few years with, Siri and Wander Franco and all the other, stuff that was going on that I don't think he was very happy about, to be quite honest. So I think there's some frustration there. So I think you got two coaches, and I don't think Cooper's frustrated in any way. I don't sense that, but there may be a sense of maybe I need a change. Maybe I need to do something different. I don't know, but they're long established. I mean, Kevin Cash, I believe, is the longest tenured manager in baseball, and Cooper is the longest tenured manager in hockey. And Todd Bowles has been around a while too for the NFL, right? If you count his time here as the defensive coordinator. So interesting to know. People don't like to leave here. That's interesting. Bucs Maven says, I love Cooper, but crap has to change. The power play has been horrendous for years at this point, and the playoff record is abysmal the last couple of years. You are correct, but you also have to look at that in context. Why is it bad? You're playing the Panthers. They're the best team in hockey. The Lightning may be a top 5 team in this league. You don't blow up top 5 teams. You don't fire top 5 coaches. I think Cooper's the best coach in the game. And he says Cash is handcuffed because he's made some horrendous decisions, and Bowles is the definition of mediocrity. And I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid that he's magically going to change his ways after 9 years like Scott Reynolds. Okay, look, I get it. I see some of that. I think you're a little hard on Bowles, but I think there's some truth to that. Absolutely. Cody said Jordan Travis retires for the Jets. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on. So I want to stick just to the old stuff here before we move on. John Hill, season ticket holder, says, in my opinion, a potential change to Bolts is in the assistant coaches. Don Cooper's press conference last night was top shelf. I do agree with that. Coop was amazing. And he gave all the kudos to the Panthers who deserved it. He said something I thought was really interesting. He said, because somebody asked him, do you learn anything from the Panthers? And he said, you know what? They had to get over the hump. That was us, right? And they did. They learned how to win Stanley Cup. He said it's learned and it's an art. I love that quote. Right? And we know what they need to do. And he's right. And that's what you have to remember about John Cooper. He knows what to do. He's done it twice and gotten back to the finals 2 more times. He knows what to do. He knows what this team needs. And there may be some different assistant coaches. I think that's definitely something that could happen in this offseason, 100%. The power play was bad in the playoffs. It was bad. It was good during the regular season, but again, it's different. It's different. Defense, got a hell of a lot better this year, a lot better. Michael LaRue, good morning to you, said another season ticket holder. We tried to stay high, but couldn't get past the gatekeeper. It was a good season. See you next year. Hopefully JBB can work some magic this off season. I think he can. Lightning went from 3 straight cup finals to 3 straight first round exits. I can't remember the last time they won a home playoff game. It's been a while. They don't have to blow it up, but they've got to do something. Oh, there's going to be changes. They're not going into next season with the same assistant coaches and the same players. That is not happening. That is 1,000% not happening. I think the core players that are signed long-term, all those guys that we just mentioned and Brian just mentioned, they're not going anywhere. I don't think you're going to see some shake-up trade, anything like that. But there's a lot you can do with the bottom 6 and the defense. There's a lot you can do. And that's what they did to win the cup. They went and changed those pieces. They didn't trade Kucherov. They didn't trade Braden Point. They didn't trade Hagel no. And they went and got Hagel. So no. So we know what to do. Cooper said it. We don't need to learn anything. We know what to do. Yeah. We know where we're at. And frankly, listen, if it wasn't for the salary cap, we wouldn't have been losing to the Panthers because we'd still have all those guys. We wouldn't have traded any of them. We'd still have Verhaeghe. We'd still have Marchessault. We'd still have all those guys. But of course,
could have used Verhaeghe this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a thing called the cap, and it was flat for a long time. And Ryan Gober, good morning to you, says Cooch continues to play like number 1 bullshit in the playoffs. Well said. Is what it is. And I tell you what, though, when you're watching the game, it's so much more evident when you're watching it with your own eyes because you can look where the television's not looking. And every time Kucherov was on the ice, there was somebody next to him. Yeah. And when he had the puck, there would be a guy that would play him positionally, right, and be playing him, playing the puck and playing positionally. And then another guy would come, and as soon as as Kucherov let go of the puck, he was hit, or he was hit while he had the puck. So he was constantly double teamed every single time. And, and that's hard to do because most teams that do that, Cooch burns you because he makes the pass. You double, it's just like basketball. You double team him, he's going to find the open man, right? But they gave him no pass. That's one of the things about the Panthers. They anticipate so well. They know where he's going to pass to when they take away the passing lanes. So now he's got the puck. Somebody's coming at him, and he's got no passing lanes. You're toast. You're toast. Other guys got to do the work. And they really, sometimes I feel like the rest of the team kind of sits around waiting for Kucherov to make a play. Go make a play. Take it to the freaking net instead of skating around the back of it every single time. Yikes. Daniel Rivera says, good morning, gentlemen. I'm going to say this. We need grit. We need to get size, and we need some quality bottom six players, especially on defense. We need an enforcer. Amen, brother. He also says Cooper's going nowhere.
He ain't effing leaving.
He ain't fucking leaving. No. We need to bring Lalonde back on staff. And I do not disagree. Stars will get you to the playoffs, but grinders, sandpaper, and bottom six guys will win you cups, says Daniel. Absolutely right. David Terry.
Especially in a physical series, yeah.
I'll take 6 Yanni and Surly-type players over Cooch any day of the week. First of all, love Yanni. He's a non-factor. In fact, Seth Jones, Marchand, what did they give you at the deadline? A lot. They gave the Panthers a lot. Made them a much better team. Bjorkstrand, Gord. Bjorkstrand got hurt. Didn't play in the playoffs. Gord was, I thought, a non-factor.
Mm-hmm.
He's 33 years old. He's small. He's not the guy we knew, unfortunately. So I think, I'm not sure what his contract situation. I think maybe he's got one more year, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got traded. David Terry says Hagel would be a better captain than Hedman. I work for the Lightning, so listen, Hagel he's more fiery.
Yanni Gord is a free agent, by the way, after this season. He's a free agent.
Yeah, I doubt he'll be back on the roster. Yeah, I'm not taking the C off Hedman's chest. I'm not doing that. But I think Hagel needs to, you don't have to have the C on your chest to be able to stand up and be the leader. And I think it's time for Hagel to take that mantle. Hagel or Braden Point, Sorelli, to me, those are the guys. And Hagel seems to feel like that guy. He really does seem to feel like that guy. So, yeah, I think that's part of an evolution of a team as well. Rick says, JP, the Bolts are in trouble if you have to rely on getting an old Cooch going. You haven't been married long enough. Thank you, Rick. It's time for a complete teardown, says Thomas Casper. Trade both Russians at peak value. You're out of your mind. Braden Point watched 2 goals go past his feet like a spectator. He wasn't much of a factor, Thomas. You're absolutely right. When Cooch is getting bottled up, Braden Point needed to take over the series. He didn't do it. I was surprised at the lack of Braden Point. That we haven't talked about that enough. Because he's a guy, he's a 50-goal scorer. Where was he? We talk about Cooch. Well, what about Braden Point? Sergio Biltret said, good morning, gents. The Bolts, honestly, it's time to overhaul the team. Keep the core. Team is not built for the playoffs. Well, keeping the core is not an overhaul. You gotta take a side there. All right. So, do we have these loaded here? I think I have them loaded. Or do I? Stand by,
everyone.
Give me an opinion or tap dance while I do this.
Live coverage of JP producing on the air as he attempts to find some audio here. And look, again, I'll say it again for the Lightning fans who absolutely want Cooper gone. Just tap the brakes a little bit, because you've seen what life is like when you don't have a good coach. And right now you've got one of the best in the league. Yes, the team has struggled a little bit, but you know what? That's sports. It's what we call sports. You're not going to win the Stanley Cup every year. You're not going to even compete every year.
Right.
But that's part of being a sports fan. You take the good and you take the bad. It's not like I'm starting the Facts of Life theme song. But you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. But I hate seeing all the John Cooper. I don't want to call it hate, but whatever it is on social
fans
media
calling
right
for his head is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah,
The most ridiculous thing ever. So let's not talk about that.
No.
All right. So this is Greg Wyshynski, Puck Daddy, and Jeff Merrick, I think it is. Very popular show that they have on the sheet. And these guys are very much in the know. So they were talking about the Cooper chatter yesterday, and I believe this is it.
This is a prediction. But you and I have talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like mutual parting of the ways. We've taken this as far as we can take it. He takes a year off. He's on television. He's hanging out by the pool, having smokes. And then the Utah Hockey Club in their next year, their sophomore season, the Yeti or whatever they are, they're not doing as well as they probably should, but they've got a good and promising young team.
Yep.
And so golfing buddy Ryan Smith calls up golfing buddy John Cooper and says, "Hey buddy, fancy a trip to the mountains?" And John Cooper becomes the head coach of the Utah Hockey Club, not the next season, but the season after that. And I could see that scenario playing out.
There's a couple of people that we wonder about eventually ending up in Utah. I don't know when. Who knows? John Cooper is one of them. The other is Ray Whitney, who works now at the NHL's Department of Player Safety, who's very close with Ryan Smith.
Ryan
as
Smith.
well.
So the connection is Ryan Smith there. And again, these guys know what they're talking about, but as I said, they're not predicting anything. They're just, this is just chatter.
Right.
But there's chatter out there, and a lot of people were talking about it yesterday. So we wanted to bring it to you. Again, I don't think John Cooper's going anywhere. I certainly don't think he said a mutual parting of the ways. I don't see that. And I don't see the Lightning in any way pushing him out the door. But I will say this. The guy that's won 2 cups, gone to 2 finals, his record is, he has got the best record in hockey. And it's not close. In his 13 years, it's not even close. He signed a 1-year deal, a 1-year extension. That's weird.
That is weird. Maybe, and normally a coach won't sign those unless it's his idea necessarily. Like he may have asked for that, right? So
right. But also, I mean, even if you sign a long-term deal, if you want to get out, I think you can get out, right? But so I don't know. It's just you read the tea leaves, what's going on. But you say, would it shock me if he decided to go elsewhere and it just take some time off, like Wyshynski said, just take? No, it wouldn't. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't shock me at all, because it just, things do get stale. Messages get stale. Players, and it works both ways. The players get tired of hearing it. The coach gets tired of saying the same things and getting the same results. So either the players moved or the coaches moved, one of the two. I think, again, you have to put this in context. It's not 3 straight first-round losses, but it's 3 straight first-round losses. I know that sounds stupid, but you got to put them in context. So in the context, I don't think it's time to blow it up, because what do you blow it up? There's absolutely no assurances that you're going to be better. I mean, and there's a pretty good chance you're going to get worse.
Yeah.
And a lot worse, because this is hard. Every team's trying to do it. I would say 28 teams, 26 teams would trade their core for your core. Is that fair?
And their coach for your coach.
Yeah. I think you'd be upwards of 26, 27 teams. So be careful what you wish for. I know your frustration is boiling over as you look at your credit card statement and see all the playoff ticket sales. And you walk out of there every time, at least 9 out of the last 10 times at home, a loser. That sucks. So I understand the frustration, but you also have to keep it in context, in my opinion. All right. What else we got here? Any other Lightning stuff? Stu used his proceeds from his Trop roof sale to buy out those seats. The rest he billed the FEMA. He won't spend his own money. Rick, I love you. So people were still coming at me yesterday about this whole section that was walled off and the Rays right in front of Stu's box. And the Rays said it was the friends and family. I mean, that might be the friends and family section. I'm not disputing that. But to have nobody sitting there except in the first couple rows and have a whole section empty. Okay, I've been going to stadiums for 50 years and covering games. And there's friends and family sections at every stadium, especially in baseball. I've never seen a whole section cleared out like that. And neither have you, Ryan Sudol, who came at me at work. I love you, but you're a knucklehead. He's like, this is the friends and family. I'm like, where have you ever seen the entire section empty? When? And it just so happens that the owner's getting heckled by the fans. What a coincidence.
11,000 seat stadium, first of all.
What a coincidence. And then the next day when they get caught and suddenly all those seats are on sale and people sit in them the next night. Now, come on, people. I'm not trying to, you believe everything, JP. You believe everything. I'm like, I don't have to. I can see with my eyes. You tell me when you've ever seen a stadium that had an entire section empty, where every other section is filled up. Have you ever seen that? I've never seen. Have you, Tim?
No, and no one else ever has.
So
that's the most ridiculous response I've ever heard in my life. Again, take into account it's an 11,000 seat stadium.
Yes.
And you're blocking off an entire outfield section.
No, it wasn't even outfield. It was first baseline.
Oh, it was the first. Oh, okay. I didn't know
section
where he was.
208 right there. Yeah.
For the friends and the family of the visiting team and MLB and all that. I mean, I get it that might be what that section is for, but that doesn't mean you don't sell tickets to it too, because you're not going to have 300 people that are.
And like for the first time ever, nobody showed up for friends and family. No,
what a coincidence.
The Royals have no friends and family whatsoever. I mean, they are
Tampa of all places.
Come on. Are you
I would
serious?
travel there just to watch the game if I was a friends and family.
Oh my God. What? And it's not that big a deal. I don't really care that much, but let's just why are you supporting Stu in this way? Like you guys are saying, oh, he's not that petty. He would never do that. Of all people, it's completely on brand. Who are you kidding? It's completely on brand. But I'm wrong. Whatever. Super lawyer John Morgan will negotiate a deal for Rays to terminate Trop lease, then play at Disney while stadium is built. Rob Manfred will change on a dime and owners will vote for it quickly. B, you got it all figured out. You know what? I'll say this. Maybe Manfred just gets so disgusted with Stu. And if Stu refuses to sell to the people in Tampa that want to buy the team just because he just wants to screw over Tampa Bay because he's mad at St. Pete, he's mad at Tampa for him being the problem, that's on brand. That's on brand.
I can't imagine MLB would allow that though.
I can't either. But if they feel like they're in a catch-22, he won't sell to the local people, but he will sell to Orlando people, then maybe he would. Maybe Major League Baseball would just say, okay, you guys got the money to build a stadium? He's going to sell to you. You want to do it? You got everything done? All right, screw it. Go to Orlando. Yeah, I might see that. And whose fault would that be? Ours? Hillsborough? St. Pete? No, it's Stu's. And people keep trying to, say it's our fault. There was an article today in the Tampa Bay Times. John Hill had a column of it. Has Tampa Bay run out of big ideas? Are we not built for? Can we not just? Orlando can get this stuff done. Other places are building stadiums everywhere. We just don't have big dreamers and thinkers here anymore. No, it ain't us. It's one dude. It's one dude. I mean, you gave him $2.6 billion of public money to build a stadium, and it still wasn't enough. Is that St. Pete's fault? No. Well, it's their fault for actually offering that much. You out of your mind. No. It's Stu's fault. Stop blaming us. Stop blaming us. Jiminy Christmas. All right, let's take another break. We'll come back on the other side, get to some more of your comments. We'll get to the Rays' inability to hit the baseball last night. We can do that as well. We got some good John Gruden stuff to get to you as well, so much more coming your way. Scotty Fitz is here. We got we'll have a nice half hour of college football and NFL talk. Joe Wessel will be joining us as well, longtime NFL coach, so we'll do that at 11:30. Much more coming your way here on the JP Peterson Show. Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com. Diamond Days are back at the Gold and Diamond Source, Tampa Bay's largest jewelry superstore. You know, I love Diamond Days because right now you can get up to 20% off all the diamonds in the inventory, including April's birthstone. Plus, you can take advantage of 0% financing for up to 5 years. This means that if you finance $5,000, your monthly payment would only be $83. Best of all, your Gold and Diamond Source diamond never loses its value. And listen up, all soon-to-be newlyweds, here's your chance to win a $2,500 shopping spree at the Gold and Diamond Source, along with a wedding cake for up to 100 guests, created by the renowned celebrity chef, The Cake Girl, as seen on the Today Show. Entering is easy. Simply visit the Gold and Diamond Source on Omerton Road for your chance to win big. If you want your special someone to say yes, make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond. Visit us at 3800 Omerton Road in Clearwater. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, are you going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show? It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. Hey, Tampa Bay, it's time to get your AC unit ready for summer. And here at Third Generation Plumbing and Mechanical, we recommend getting ahead of the game, keeping your family cool before the hot summer months with one of our maintenance agreements in the hopes of avoiding the dreaded emergency service call. Our maintenance agreements include, we'll test the electrical components, check and tighten high and low voltage wire connections. We'll check the refrigerant for manufacturer's performance levels, test thermostats, calibrate if needed, clean the evaporator coil and condenser coil, and clear and treat the drain line and drain pans. Just call us at 813-961-8024 for the special rates, and a human will actually answer. 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Brought to you by Onsite Construction, FL.com. Onsite Construction, if you're looking to do some restoration, if that first contractor you hired screwed you over, which happened to many of you, or did a terrible job, well, get it done right with Onsite Construction, FL.com. Jason Fawcett and his group of artisans have been at it for over 25 years. He's been doing this. This company's done over 1,400 jobs. You can go on the website and look at some of the beautiful work they do. They do it on budget and they do it on time. These guys are professionals with great reputations. See all their 5-star reviews. And that's what you want from a local construction company, folks. There's a lot of scammers out there from the hurricane. They just move in and do bad work and then move out. Not on-site construction. They've been here a long time. They're going to be here a long time. On-site construction, FL.com is where you go for that. Tell them JP sent you. All right. Where do we want to go here? Jason Licht.
Jason Licht.
So yesterday, Jason went on the Pat McAfee show, and they've done a great job drafting over the last years. And we had Jason on a few months ago, and we talked about his change in philosophy about, missing on the person and not the player. So, and how they corrected that. But he definitely shook up the internet yesterday with this response to, and this is vintage Jason Licht. Enjoy.
Your bag whenever it comes to this draft thing. 38. From 2019 to 2024, first through sixth round, all 38 picks that you and your scouting department and pro personnel and everything were on a roster last season. That feels so unlikely, just with the way the world is currently, with the way we don't know who's going to show up. Once somebody gets a little bit of money, once somebody gets a little bit of freedom, once somebody gets into a new system. For you, what is the biggest tell on whether or not a guy's going to be successful in the NFL? What are you looking for that kind of makes it that, okay, this is going to be a guy type indicator for you?
Well, first of all, I got a phenomenal staff. I'm lucky. The only thing I'll take credit for is hiring well. So I hired a great group of guys and girls that are on my staff. You guys have had Big Brain Mike Greenberg on, and there's a host of others. But it was about 5 years ago. We weren't having the success I wanted in the drafts. We kind of had a powwow, got together, just all of us, the whole staff, talking about what are the picks that have made it, what are the picks in the history of the Bucs and that have made it and were big time players. And we, it was the person. We're never rarely missing on the player. We're missing on the person. And what are these qualities of a person that made them successful? And John Spytek was a part of this too. It was called I Am That Man. And we have a silhouette in our draft room. It's actually Levante David that is the silhouette because he epitomizes everything about what we're looking for. You could say the same thing about Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, a host of others. But it's a quality that we're looking for, and it's really not that hard. We put the players that are worthy of being drafted on the draft board, the assholes and the douchebags off, and guys that don't love football, and guys that have proven that they don't like it, they're difficult to deal with, and we just kind of mitigate our risk. And we're taking great players that are great humans.
What'd you say? I am that man? I am that man? What is the...
I am that man. It's, so at the final stages of the draft prep, we'll go around the table to all the people in the scouting department and say, is he that man? And yes, he is, or no, he's not. So we take him off the board, and we take a lot of good players off the board. A lot of players that went in the first, go in the first round. But I inform the owners, don't get nervous. These guys are probably going to go in the first, but we just don't want to deal with them.
Interesting.
How about that?
Yeah, assholes and douchebags need not apply. You think that's how you build a winning culture? Yeah, I do. And I've seen it happen right before my eyes. And he's had some very bad drafts, very bad drafts. And some of those guys weren't good guys. They were talented, but they weren't good guys. And they don't work out because this is a business. And if you don't treat it as a business and your job and take it seriously, you're not going to be a good player. And I don't care how good you are athletically. You're just not. And a lot of teams have figured this out. And I wouldn't say a lot, but the good ones have figured this out. And you look at these last few drafts, and they have just absolutely nailed it. And you look at this team. You look at the culture and the character of this team, and you see why they win. You see why they go into a tailspin and then, win 6 of 7 to get out of it. That's hard to do. But you do that with guys that don't quit. Because here's the secret. And you probably, it's funny because you go, I think back in life on, when I was all pro at everything in elementary school and middle school. Just you think I was an all pro at every sport in elementary school. Damn right. You just and I've been on a lot of teams, high school teams, and there's just certain guys that are super talented, but they quit. when the tough get going, they're, oh, my knee hurts. They turn an ankle. When it's when the hitting's getting a little bit too tough, they're just, oh, my shoulder, right? That guy, right? And those guys don't make it in the NFL, no matter how talented they are. They don't make it. And so you have to take them off your draft board as much as God, he ran a 4.3. Oh my God, look at you can't, because when you need them, they ain't going to be there. They ain't going to be there. So what good is their talent? What good is their talent? And so you got to get guys that love football, that are going to put everything into it. And once you get a few of them in your leadership position, then it just catches fire. And the guys that, and sometimes you might make a mistake and you bring somebody in and they just don't fit in. And we've seen that. You just don't fit in, and they're not here long. So they've created this incredible culture, and it's because of the guys that they're drafting. And they just hit on a bunch of them again. And Ibuka is that man. He is that man. And Shedeur Sanders is not. Let's just put it that way.
No.
By the way,
yeah,
I saw a video of Shedeur running up a hill that near the Cleveland workout area. Like, oh, he's putting in the work. He's running the hill. And he's got, two guys there filming it. And I tweeted back, I'm like, oh, good thing there was somebody there to catch this, so we didn't miss it. I'm like, go do some work without a camera and without a handler and for the right reasons. We don't need to see all this. This is why Shedeur dropped like he did. But first of all, everybody, I think, overrated him from a talent standpoint. Time. And then he went around on this tour to me and told everybody how good he is and how much you need him. That's not the way it works in the NFL, young man. And tell your dad that too. It doesn't work that way. And that's why you are where you are.
Did you see these little shorts that were going out about when Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were at some camp together before the draft, and they're talking to each other?
Yeah.
And Shedeur's talking to Cam. He's like, hey, man, do you drop beats? Let's get together one Saturday. Let's drop some beats. Let's cut a song. Let's do that. And Cam Ward just looks at him and says, I play football. And he's like, come on, man. You don't drop beats. You don't cut tunes. What are you doing, man? Let's just get together. It's on a Saturday. Let's cut a song together, man. It'll be great. And Cam Ward's like, I just want to be remembered as a football player. I play football.
I play football.
There's your difference right there.
Yeah. Yeah. There was something else he said too. Like, it's something like, it's all about you. With me, it's all about team. And then Shedeur goes, yeah, well, you didn't play the second half of the ball game. I'm like,
right.
True.
Yeah.
True. But whatever. I think, Shedeur will have his chance, and we'll see where that goes. But I'm not. Who do you think wins that job? Shedeur, Dillon Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco?
Did you see the odds?
I did not.
The odds-on favorite to win the starting job right now is Kenny Pickett, which I don't get. I think Joe's your starter. They're paying him $4 million to come in, and he's going to start. Guarantee you Joe Flacco is the starter.
I think Dillon Gabriel might be the guy.
He may be your number 2, but I think he'll be behind Flacco.
I think Dillon Gabriel has a lot of Brock Purdy in him.
And I don't think Dillon Gabriel, that's not to say he won't take over at some point in the season, but I don't think he'll be the day one starter.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who they got around him, who the receivers are.
Nobody.
Yeah, I have to go look at that. Ryan Gober says the section was on the home side of the field as well. Not sure what that means, but is that particular? Oh, because for the Royals friends and family, wouldn't they be behind the Royals dugout? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, your wide receivers
how could you possibly buy that explanation?
Your Browns wide receivers right now are David Bell, DeAndre Carter, Caden Davis, Jerry Jeudy, Jamari Thrash, Cedric Tillman, and Michael Woods.
Who?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, maybe not.
Think they could have used Travis Hunter?
I think so. B says, ranking media markets difficult to quantify now with streaming apps and local TV deals in turmoil. People are just watching highlights on social media, not watching whole games. We watch three things same time. It's an interesting point because, baseball's revenue is largely based on local TV rights, and that means people watching the games and watching the whole games and watching the commercials in between the innings. I don't think there's anybody under 25 watching a whole baseball game, or under 35 watching a whole baseball game. I mean, especially this Rays team. Obviously, I was working the Lightning game last night, but I'm a baseball fan and I'm a Rays fan. I want to watch this team. I have a hard time sitting down for 3 hours, 2.5 hours now, and watching a whole baseball game. And I sure as hell ain't watching the commercials in between. not when there's playoff hockey on.
Right.
You know, like now that the Lightning are out, I'll probably, like tonight's a Thursday night. Will I be watching the Rays game? Are they playing tonight, or is it a day game? And haven't looked yet. I think it's a night game. But I'll go in and out. But it's hard to watch a whole game.
Noon game today.
Afternoon game today. Okay.
Yeah, it starts at noon.
Oh, maybe we'll go over. Starts at noon or 1:15.
Maybe sorry, it's probably 1:10 Eastern. Yeah, it's 12:10 Central.
Oh, maybe we'll go sit in the friends and family section. That's open.
How great would it be just to go sit like one row in front of Stu?
Hi, sell the team.
Get your phone out and go, hey, Stu, can I get a couple of quick words on this section that's empty in front of you?
Friends and family, but they had 4 gushers guarding it, by the way, like they always do for the friends and family section.
What do you have to do? Show ID? Show who you are to sit there? Hey, I have friends and family. Why can't I sit here?
Who could possibly believe this? And I'm the idiot that believes BS.
That's so great.
You ever seen a whole section that just happened to be below where Stu was? Just happened to be there. Well, the guys on the side could heckle him as well. Yeah. So what's he supposed to do? Empty out 2 sections? I mean, really? I think Major League Baseball sent him a note like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you got 11,000 seats. So you're not going to, because, part of the revenue that's sold goes to the other team. They get a cut of the ticket revenue. So if you're not selling tickets because you don't want to get heckled, you're getting into the pockets of the other owners, which, by the way, are not very happy about this.
Again, in an 11,000 seat stadium.
Yeah. And he says Rob Manfred kind of works for Stu. No, Rob Manfred works for all the owners, including Stu. And all the other owners are pissed at him for stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He also asked, have you heard from the college bros that you confronted yesterday? No, I haven't. I have not. I'd like to.
So funny.
These 2, if you missed this, there's 2 untitled pricks that parked in the only handicap spot in front of Panera Bread.
In your building, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right in our building. UT license plate, brand new Audi, vroom, vroom car. Vroom, 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 vroom. Right? And I see these 2 kids, healthy as can be, bopping out of the Panera with their bags and their double froth latte. Jump in the car and I walk over and I'm like looking through the very dark windows, by the way, of course, so they could smoke their weed. And I said, like, hey, which one of you guys is handicapped? And he rolls his window. It's just me. I said, oh, you don't look very handicapped to me. Jumping in that car. Vroom, vroom. And he revved the engine and sped away. No, maybe they'll come back. They'll come back to get me. I know where to find them. They'll be parked in the handicap spot.
Yeah, you know where their car will be.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to have a discussion on college football. And by the way, the Rays almost got no hit last night by Noah Cameron, who just got called up from AAA.
Yeah.
Lose 3-0 to the Royals. That's brutal. That was a brutal night for local sports. Sorry, folks. All right, quick break. When we come back, I'm going to chat with Joe Wessel, my buddy Scotty Fitz. We're going to talk about college and professional football, NIL, what's going on. My good friend Joe coached at LSU, coached for the Bengals, the Eagles. So we'll get his very learned view on what's going on and what's coming up next. He might have some golf stories for you, too, as well. Stay with us.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
JP here for Riveters, the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. We're located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, so it's a great pre- and post-game spot, and the happy hour is amazing. Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Check out these specials. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails like margaritas. It's unheard of. And the Riveters food is freshly made daily. No freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders. $6 you get edamame or chips with the beer cheese, which is amazing. $8 buffalo chicken dip, my favorite. The truffle fries, chili cheese fries, also $8 at happy hour. As well as other specials throughout the week, including Taco Tuesdays, you get $3 tacos, and Wing Wednesdays, 7 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the morning, you get our amazing wings, 5 for $5 and $5 wells and wines. That's a good Wednesday night. So if you're tired of the preppy, overpriced, generic sports bars, come see the amazing, friendly bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters. Riveters, just south of where the Rays and Bucs play. We'll see you there. Summer is coming. Do not get caught with your unit unprepared. Your AC unit, of course. The awesome folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC have a special going on right now. You get a free 1-year maintenance package with any purchase of a new unit. They have special 60-month financing as well, so you don't need a huge chunk up front. Third Generation has an impeccable reputation built over 30 years of doing business. They do plumbing, AC, mechanical work, anything you need around the house. They are trusted folks. Go to the website and read the 5-star reviews. Deidre said, great company that always arrives timely. We have used them for our AC both in home and business and have been very happy. The staff is knowledgeable and professional. I would recommend Third Generation again and again. So give Third Generation a call at 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Hello, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by the great folks at Third Generation Plumbing. John Rodriguez, the owner over there, great dude, loves the show. We appreciate his support, but also if you need anything in the air conditioner or plumbing category for your home or anything mechanical at your home, Third Generation Plumbing can handle it. Go to their website, thirdgenerationplumbing.com, and tell them JP sent you. Get that air conditioner. Get your unit tuned up for the summer. You don't want a poorly tuned unit heading into summer. We all know that.
Watch your unit.
Watch your unit. All right. I want to bring in a couple of good friends of mine. We'll go to the 3-shot. There we are. Scott, there's Joe Wessel right here on my right. What's up, Joe?
Hey.
Pull that thing right up close to your microphone.
All right, there we go.
There we
How's
go.
that?
Scotty Fitz is here too, as well, from American Mortgage Services. Pull that up to your mouth. Okay. There you go. There you go. Right there. Well, welcome.
Like you like it.
Thanks for having me.
So you got your beer there? Starting early. I didn't know they serve beer at Panera.
This is coffee.
That's great. That's awesome.
I don't do that till about 3 o'clock.
You get your broccoli and cheese soup with an extra with a Heineken in it. I like that. I like the way you work, Fitzy.
Absolutely.
Very nice. So my friend Joe Wessel over here, you coached at LSU, special teams, the Bengals, the Eagles. Where else?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Yeah, that little place there.
Yeah.
So you've been around the college game for a while.
It has been. Well,
you recognize what's going on now?
It's a whole different world, that's for sure. On and off the field.
On and off the field. And you had your kids have been involved as players as well.
Yeah.
And coaches.
My son played at FAU and under Lane. down there, and
Lane
that was a unique time for that school, and turned it around. Lane's done a great job everywhere he's been. But yep. And Trent got into coaching a little bit. He coached at Stetson and helped USF out for 1 year. But as I told him, God pulled me out 13 years, and he pulled him out after 2 years. So, but
it's a tough business.
It is. It's a tough business, but a lot of businesses are tough. But I'll tell you what, it's very different.
Yeah.
Very different now. The amount of support, the amount of coaches that are involved. It's you talk about bureaucracy and of a lot of a lot of workers.
How many coaches
amazing.
did you have on your LSU Notre Dame staff?
We had nine with 4 GAs, and that was it. You had a recruiting coordinator. But
what do they have now?
I kind of was talking to FSU back in the day with trying to get the AD's job, and I looked it up. Alabama had 109 people that indirectly or directly reported to Nick Saban.
109.
So if you think about it, he had 3 staff meetings. He had staff meeting with his coaches, has staff meeting with the support people, and then the trainers, managers, and all that. I mean, you can't get it. Had to be in an auditorium. I mean,
My mouth
it was
is
crazy.
like agape.
It's amazing.
100 and we've gone from 14 in what was that 1990 something?
I would say during the I got in 85 to 97.
So in the 90s, 14 people and to 109.
Yep.
Holy
It's
shit.
like Napier's staff, though.
And
It's the
even
same thing. Huh?
Philadelphia Eagles, my year there, I was with John Gruden. Sean Payton was there. Bill Callahan was there. Even Vic, Joe Vitt wound up being a head coach. We had a great staff there. We didn't even have really a general manager. I mean, we had Mike Lombardi came in just to kind of help out.
Yeah.
And
who was the head coach at that time?
The head coach was Rhodes.
Rhodes. Yeah.
Yep.
And what a staff. Holy moly.
Yeah, no, it was great.
So how many coaches did you have there total?
I was just about to say, we probably had, I'd have to count back up. We probably had 14.
Yeah.
Somewhere there, 13. But, and plus Sean Payton was our offensive assistant that year. And, it's, again, you got these senior assistants and senior, and it's good. I mean, it's good for the coaches. It's good for elder coaches that want to have some input, but don't, do the grind. And there's a lot of them. I have several friends of mine that, they don't work as much as the other coaches, but then there's some that are there just as long.
Yeah.
It just depends.
And now we have full-time game managers as coaches. We just hired the Bucs. I thought that was the head coach's job.
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great hire because clearly our head coach needs some help in that area. But can you imagine telling Bill Parcells he's got to hire a game manager?
Well, I think it's I think deep down it's valiant effort for a coordinator to try to be the head coach.
I do too.
I think it's just hard. It obviously it can be done, but even Bill Belichick, he didn't really, he let his coordinators coordinate from that standpoint. So it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just, it's
just different. It's an evolution.
It is. And I think it's, especially if you're an offensive guy, I mean, Gruden would probably push back on that, but it's hard. It's hard.
It absolutely is. And so one of the things I want to talk about is just college football, because you have that perspective of the old days when you were coaching and playing at Florida State, and then what's going on now with your sons being involved in NIL and everything else in coaching. So you have a great perspective on how things have changed. Obviously, when you were playing, you would want to get paid. You deserve to get paid, in my opinion. But obviously, the pendulum's gone too far, right? So where have we messed up? Who broke college football? What the hell happened here?
Well, the courts. The courts got involved. I think the
administrators let them get involved.
Yeah, but and the NCAA didn't get involved. Let's put it that way. I have a unique, thought process towards this, being in the business world and in the banking world for the last 28 years, that it's been created by the courts. When the O'Bannon thing came with the basketball players out of UCLA, and they limited and told them that they could not be capped. And that was because they're 1099 basically employees from that standpoint. So it really puts the onus on the NCAA and everybody else to try to figure out. It's become an employment issue.
Exactly.
It's not anything else. And you're not reinventing the wheel either. I played golf with I'll keep the person's name out of it, but a person in the NFL office a couple of years ago. And I told him this, the way I see it, if you can make an entity and you don't want to give up college football, do a marketing arrangement back with the schools. You want to keep college football. Everybody wants college football, but there has to be an entity that the people are employed to, so they can be a W-2 employee like every other big company that's out there. Now you can not necessarily cap, but you can control,
collectively bargain.
Exactly. You can collect it. But again, now you think you get unions involved, and all of that, but you're not reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah.
The NFL has done it. Baseball's done it. Basketball's done it. Even the soccer leagues have done it. They've controlled their spending. So at this point in time, I don't know where they can stop it unless you don't have this other entity. Now, will the presidents ever give that up? Probably not. But I think that's where the NCAA go and manage the Division One AA's, all of the other divisions. But football's a big entity.
Yeah.
And
$1 billion business.
And you know what? I would hate to see, and people may think I'm stupid, but I'd hate to see someone else do it like Liv did to golf, that they take somebody do something like that.
And like
get
a minor
enough,
league football. Yeah.
It's not out of the realm. No. And I think, again, there's a lot of more power to that. And, but I just think it's at a crossroads, because the business model cannot withstand this. It
Can't
just
withstand the
can't.
course. Well, it could, because it's been fraudulent for so long. The players have been exploited for so long, and the administrators knew it. They knew what they were doing, and they didn't take appropriate steps to pay the players and take care of their obligations from a work standpoint.
No question.
And that left it open. When you leave it open, when you leave it to the courts, you're not going to like what they come up with typically.
They could have solved this if they would have just let the kids work during the Christmas holidays, let them work when they go on, let them work during the year if they want to.
Yeah.
And at least they could control it. And it just got out of hand.
So at this point, and I've said this for 20 years, they have to, like you say, replicate the NFL model. It seems weird, but you can do this. And basically, the courts have said they're employees. They work for the university, in essence. The time that they spend there, it is what it is. And they are the, just like the NFL, they are the entertainment. They are the labor, and the labor has to be paid. So if you kind of take these football and basketball programs out of the university, so to speak, and they become other entities, basically money-making entities, and that money comes back in to pay for all the other sports, which is what they do, I think that's something that's doable. It's radical, but it's doable. And I think it's the only answer that makes any sense.
You're only one or two steps away from it.
Right.
With the conferences coming all together.
Mhm.
I mean, you're what do we got now? Four conferences,
which may soon be two.
Correct.
May soon be two by 2030.
So you're close to it. It's just a matter of pulling the switch. Now, the other, weird thing too, why are they still giving them scholarships? If you're paying them, they ought to pay their own tuition.
I don't understand that at all.
Like,
you're paying them $4 million and they're still paying for their,
no doubt.
And I don't, we haven't heard a whole lot about academic suspensions.
No.
I don't think there's a whole lot of, because the NCAA used to enforce that. They're not enforcing that anymore. I don't think I don't know this for a fact.
The Dion rule.
Yeah. Are kids even going to class anymore?
But hey, here's the other part to it. How do you move every year? The kid plays for 6 years and he's played at 4 different places. How do you establish any type of academic, success with it?
Because as you know, if you transfer, some credits don't transfer.
Correct.
Some things don't. I don't know how you would have an academic record at all if you're at 6 different, and it's every semester. It's not even 1 year. You're changing every semester.
I don't know if they have this, that through COVID, the portal, all of the coaches moving around. I get all of that. But again, if you're going to give them the money on the other side, they have to sign a contract. They have to be bound like anybody in business. You sign something, they give you money up front, or during that period, there are some restrictions there. You just can't take everything and just leave it.
Yeah.
And I think I think they want to do that. I just don't think they have the gumption to do it at this point in time.
So the other part of this whole thing, and this is where you come in, Fitzy, because you are a fanatical. Here, lean in a little bit so we can see you there. Put this up like that. This moves around. There we go. We can see you a little bit now. You're a fanatical college football fan, as am I. How is this affecting you as a fan to see the players making money, the portability, leaving one school, going to another? I mean, you're a Florida State fan, and you've had the best of it and the worst of it. You had a 13-0 season because you got great transfers, and then you had a 2-10 season, the worst season in history. And that's what, if you depend on the portal, that's what you're going to get.
Yep.
These wild swings, there's not going to be consistency. So as a fan, do you like it? Do you find yourself watching less college football, or are you disenchanted? You get the mic up next to your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it's back in the day when we had, quarterbacks would sit, Florida State's, you played 4 years. You
Imagine that,
redshirted,
sitting 2 years,
you set for 4
learning
years
the
before
offense.
You got an opportunity to play, like Brad Johnson, Casey Weldon, all those guys, and that's the way it was. The big problem being a fan is the loyalty. It's just hard to buy into the team and enjoy supporting these guys when every semester they're changing schools, and then the money being allocated to certain positions and players. And we had a nice conversation with Mike Alford, the AD at Florida State last week.
That was eye-opening, wasn't it?
Fasulo, and he really told us a lot of neat stuff, that's going on with it. But it's a different game. It's just not.
So as a fan, you're disenchanted.
Disenchanted. Totally.
I'd love to see the stats. I'm not a stat guy, but I'd love to see the stats. How many kids transfer and don't play 50% of the time? I would just love to see that.
Well,
the other part to it is that they don't realize just because you're transferring, there may be people still there. You still have to compete when you have to transfer from that.
Yeah. Well, look at the Tennessee situation with Nico Iamaleava. I got that right. So he goes to Tennessee. Or leaves Tennessee when he was getting paid. He signed an $8 million deal, reportedly, $2 million a year for 4 years. So he plays 1 year, and now he goes back and he says, you know what? I want more. I want to renegotiate my contract. And Josh Heupel says, F yourself.
My hat's off to him. But from a fan standpoint, maybe not. But if you look at really the essence of football and in any sport, from that matter, all glory to him. I mean, that was really he had to have big cojones.
Stones.
To do that.
Yeah.
And Dan Lanning for calling it out. Actually, he found out that he was shopping himself and called the coach and let him know.
Yeah, your coach is your quarterback's shopping around to get more money.
I didn't hear that.
But and so but as I said when it happened, I said that's all great, and kudos to Josh Heupel. He's just going to find another place to play. There's going to be six programs lining up for him. And what do you know? UCLA is right there. Yeah. Now, he lost a little bit of money. He's only making $175. Didn't lose a lot. Didn't get the 4 he was looking for. But here's the dumb part for him is you're at Tennessee, bro. You got the best receivers. You got a great offensive-minded coach. You're in the premier conference. Like, you're going to make more money as a pro if you stay and develop in one system, show your loyalty, show who you are, show your character, lead your team. And now the pros look at you like, he's a program hopper. He's not loyal to anything. He doesn't love football. And you're going to a situation where you don't even know if you're going to be the starter.
Great entry into the next subject that you wanted to talk about too. The pros are looking at that.
Exactly.
And you don't think that those pros look at that during the draft period of
Look
time?
at what happened to Shedeur Sanders.
That's exactly right.
If you don't think character matters or the way you handle yourself matters, it does matter. Now, I don't, Shador, we could talk about his inconsistencies and his lack of athleticism at an elite level, but he's a pretty good quarterback. He's a really, maybe even a really good quarterback.
There is no question about his ability to be able to play. Now, he could be ranked again. You go back to 1983 when Marino, Elway, all of that group.
Yep.
Marino goes in the last part. Obviously, he's Hall of Fame quarterback, but the bottom, I think, of the essence of what transpired there, the scouts, they all thought he was a top player.
Mm-hmm.
Kuiper did. Everybody. He's a good athlete, a good person, obviously. But when you do the things that, if even half of what is true, that he supposedly had done
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
There were a lot of stories of him off the field carousing. Yes.
Then, people talk back to what you said about Dan Lanning. Coaches talk, scouts talk. There's not much you can hide in a draft. It just doesn't happen. And he, they still think that culture does matter, and teammates
big time.
It's not saying he's a bad teammate. It's just all about him at that point in time. And that may not even be fair to the kid, because he's in a situation where his dad is, and I don't fault Dion at all, but we all think our kids are better than they are.
Yeah.
I've never met a dad. I've never met a dad that didn't, including me.
Right.
So, but when you throw that out there, that we're going to, look at the teams that we want to go to.
Yeah. We're going to control this, is what Dion said.
Do that.
Yeah.
You just don't do that.
So, and when a kid, comes into your interview room and you hit them, because those interviews, and you've been in them when you're at the draft and the combine, and you're interviewing kid, you're going to challenge them intellectually and put them in bad mental situations and see how they react. And from what we've heard, he didn't react very well to people pointing out his shortcomings, because he probably hasn't dealt with it a lot. I don't think his dad was putting him up on blast in front of the team for taking all the bad sacks.
Right.
And so he didn't know how to deal with that.
No question. There's no doubt about that. I mean, again, your dad, you can say that you can, I'm even and I can play both. No, you can't. You're a father.
Yeah.
Everybody, blames Joe Biden of, giving his son the
pardon.
Yeah, the pardon. You know what? If that was my son, I'd give him a pardon too. Now, if he murdered,
that was your son,
if he murdered somebody, that would be different. He wouldn't have been there.
We wouldn't have videos of him doing cocaine and blow with hookers. But
the point there is,
that's a whole nother deal.
The point there is that you can say it and you want to. You're not going to be as hard. You're just not going to be.
It was a very different situation, but I think for people to say, oh, there was collusion among the owners, it's racism, although nobody wants to draft a confident black man, I'm like, what?
It just doesn't even that's why media gets the
bad rep that it does,
exactly, that they deserve from that point. People are going to make. We used to always say, if he's the best player and he robbed a bank or whatever,
we'll find a place for him.
They're going to play him first and see what happens in the courts later.
He wasn't that good. He wasn't that good.
And I say that facetiously, but they're going to close their eyes on a lot of things. But again, one thing that you don't want is the parades, and it's hard enough to win football games in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is hard. Every week, there's not one team that can't beat you. And that's just the basic facts. And it is very, it's hard. It's a hard place. And so if you can't control your team and you get bad, quote unquote, bad people in your organization, you don't want it. And if you know or hear and you don't have to, now Cleveland took him. I know that they probably thought long and hard about that. But I think that they were probably going to take him even earlier. But I think once they took the Oregon kid, then it didn't matter.
I think the owner made that call. I don't think Andrew Berry. I could tell by that draft room when they showed the draft room after the pick, and they're like,
the coach and the GM.
Great. What the hell did we just? Didn't we just draft a quarterback?
But you know what? That could be a turning point for Shador, though. Yeah, it could be a turning point for Dion too.
I'm not rooting against him.
No,
in fact,
not at all.
I would.
Why would you?
I would, but
there's no reason.
But I just saw today on my Twitter. Oh, look at Shador. He's already working out and he's running the hill in Cleveland, doing these tough workouts. Never question his work ethic. I'm like, dude, why do I have to see this? Put the camera away. I don't, put the camera away, get rid of your handlers, go to the facility and work out with the offensive linemen without cameras around like Baker Mayfield did.
Right.
You'd probably be a lot better off.
Right.
A little bit of humility and self-awareness might be in order here.
But again, he lived with the ultimate performer,
the ultimate hype man,
the ultimate, and I love him to death.
Wouldn't we all like to have our own hype man running around with us like every day
and have the talent of Dion?
Yeah, and the platform.
No question. I mean, his first hire at Colorado. Do you know who the first person he hired?
Wasn't Warren Sapp.
No,
Sapp's working with him now. First hire was who?
His guy that's going to do all of his outside marketing, camera, all of that. Didn't hire a coach. Didn't hire. He knew who he was going to hire.
Right.
But that was the first guy because again, he's the best to promote whatever he's doing. Yeah. And God bless him.
Yeah.
From that standpoint.
Legendary.
All right, guy. Well, that was a fascinating conversation. We'll come back next time and talk about White Fang, the book you wrote.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
love to.
We're out of time right now because we have to go to lunch or do something, right? Go play golf. So we'll do that next time. Joe, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. Scotty Fitz, thanks for coming in. Timmy, thank you for doing what you do all the time.
That's why I'm here.
You joined us in our first segment. If you missed that, go check it out on the podcast or on Twitter, YouTube, wherever you watch the show. It was a great analysis of not only the series of where the Lightning need to go from here. So go check it out with Brian Engblom. All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have, I believe I'm trying to get Eric Erlinson on. So we'll talk a little bit more Lightning and we'll see what's going on with the Rays as well. Have a great day, everybody.
How did they let? I'll give you an analogy.